Leeds International School, Form 1 Science, 3rd Midterm, Chapter 5, Our Environment and Us. These are the objectives of today's lesson. At the end of this lesson, students will be able to name the different types of natural resources and their importance. As well as that, they will be able to explore how man's activities have a positive and negative impacts on the environment. Okay children, first let's see what is a resource. A resource is a source or supply from which a benefit is produced. A resource is a source or supply from which a benefit is produced. We can divide resources into two groups as natural resources and man-made resources. So what is a natural resource? Actually, a natural resource is anything that people can use which comes from nature, such as trees, wind, water, like that. And now, what is man-made resource? When humans use natural things to make something new that provides value to our lives, it is called as man-made resources, such as roads, buildings, vehicles, like that. So children, now let's discuss few examples for natural resources. The first one is sunlight. As you know children, sunlight or the sun is our main source of light energy. So sunlight gives us the ability to see, but other than that, there are so many uses of sunlight, such as plants use sunlight for photosynthesis. And also children, nowadays, sunlight is used to generate electricity even. The next natural resource is air. So we all know air is a very important natural resource. The air that we breathe contains oxygen. Oxygen is an important part of the Earth's atmosphere. Without oxygen, animals and plants would die. So, the next natural resource we are going to discuss is water. So children, I think you know nearly 70% of our Earth's surface is made of water. But out of that 70%, only 3% of this is fresh and drinkable water. That means more than half of the fresh water is trapped as ice caps and glaciers. So we only have access to the rest of the fresh water which exists in ponds, lakes, rivers and waterfalls. So children, I told you before, when humans use natural things to make something new that provides us value to our lives, we call them man-made resources. So buildings, vehicles, roads are few examples for man-made resources. So children, people make huge and marvelous buildings and very fast vehicles and very smooth and very useful roads using wood, clay and metals they obtain from our nature. We can divide natural resources into two groups. Do you know what are those two groups? Yes, renewable resources and non-renewable resources. So children, renewable resources are the resources which can be replaced by nature, such as sunlight, air, water, like that. And non-renewable resources are the resources which cannot be replaced in a short time. So, fossil fuels such as coal, petrol, diesel, those are the examples for non-renewable resources. Okay children, now you learned few different types of natural resources. Now let's see what are the importance of these natural resources. So from the plants we get wood, and from that wood we can make our furnitures. Other than that, plants are used to make clothes, food and medicine. And another very important natural resource is coal, or in another word, fossil fuels. So children, fossil fuels such as coal, diesel, petrol are burned to produce electricity. So without electrical energy, we will not be able to use our computers or even turn on the lights. So children, can you even imagine a life without electrical energy? You can't, right? Do you know children, there are 7 billion people in this world, and day by day that number increases. So as the world's population increases, our demand for natural resources also increases tremendously. As an example, a place to live. So in order to house all those 7 billion people in this world, are there enough vacant land? No, right? So in order to provide vacant land for them to build their houses, people have to cut the forest. So tell me children, is it a good thing cutting the forest and give that place to human to live by destroying the habitats of animals? Is it a good thing? Okay, let's see. Same as that, with the increasing population, demand for the food and electricity is also increases. So people have to build up more and more factories to produce those things. So children, when number of buildings are greater than the number of trees in this world, there are huge chances for environmental pollution. Okay children, now let's see what is pollution. Pollution is the introduction of harmful matter or pollutants into the environment, thus causing harm to life. Most pollution is caused by man. As human population and industrial activities increase, the level of pollution also increases. So children, here are some major forms of pollution: air pollution, global warming, deforestation, water pollution, and land pollution. Okay children, first let's learn about land pollution. Land pollution is a result of dumping garbage, waste, and other toxins, making the land contaminated or polluted. We can identify two major causes of land pollution. The first one is improper dispersal of rubbish. So children, when rubbish is disposed of in an improper way, toxic substances in some rubbish and non-biodegradable waste, that means the waste which cannot be broken down by decomposers, make the soil unsuitable for plant growth. And the next cause is excessive use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides. So children, as you know, chemical fertilizers and pesticides are often used in farming. The chemicals can pollute the land and affect the plants and animals living nearby. The introduction of harmful chemicals and small particles into the air is called as air pollution. So children, we can identify four major causes of air pollution. The first one is burning of fossil fuel. The burning of fossil fuels by factories and vehicles leads to the release of pollutants such as smoke and harmful gases such as carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide into the air. And the next cause is acid rains. Do you know what are acid rains, children? So, when harmful gases such as carbon dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide dissolve in rainwater, acid rain is formed. So, this acid rain can make the soil too acidic for some plants to grow. And also, marine organisms, that means fish, crabs, prawns like that, are also affected by the increasing acidity of the water. And the third cause is burning of forests. As you know, children, forest fires are the massive burning of trees and bushes. But in some countries, children, forest fires are started deliberately as a cheap and quick way for farmers to clear land. This burning results in huge amounts of smoke or haze that pollutes the air. The last cause is haze. So children, haze is created when dust, smoke and other dry particles are released into the air. So people with respiratory problems are likely to suffer from asthma attacks when they are exposed to haze. Tell me children, do you know what is water pollution? Okay, water pollution is the contamination of water bodies such as lakes, ponds and rivers. So as before, in here also there are four major causes of water pollution. The first one is release of harmful chemicals. So when harmful chemicals such as toxic wastes, fertilizers and pesticides enter rivers and lakes, they harm the organisms who live in them. The second one is oil spills. You may know children, serious oil spills happen when oil tankers accidentally leak oil into the ocean. So this oil affects wildlife. For an example, by coating the bodies of birds with a thick layer of oil that reduces the bird's ability to fly and keep warm. The third cause is soil erosion. So, when loose soil from cleared forests is washed into ponds, rivers or lakes, the water becomes murky. And children, this reduces the amount of light that reaches plants in the water, and by that it prevents photosynthesis from taking place. So the last cause is improper dispersal of waste. Litter such as plastic wrappers and fishing nets is often carelessly disposed of and beaches or in rivers or lakes. As a result, many marine animals and seabirds suffer as they get entangled in nets or ingest litter by mistake. Deforestation, or the destruction of forest on a massive scale. So children, in here we can identify two major causes of deforestation. The first one is quarrying. It involves the extraction of rocks or minerals from the ground. So forests are often cleared in this process, and this process can destroy the natural habitats of organisms in that area. And also the dust which is produced as a result of quarrying can pollute the air as well. The second cause is clearing lands for development. Large tracts of land have to be cleared to lay the foundation of buildings. And children, this destroys the natural habitats of organisms in that area. The construction, use and maintenance of buildings also require large amounts of energy. Okay children, in here we are going to discuss the negative effects of deforestation. Do you know what are they children? Okay, in here we are going to discuss two negative effects. The first one is soil erosion. So children, soil erosion happens when there are no plants to help hold the soil together with their roots. With the loss of a protective cover of plants or vegetation, more soil is lost as rain can wash away large amounts of soil into the nearby water bodies. This causes the water in these bodies to turn cloudy, which prevents photosynthesis of the plants which lives inside those water bodies. And the second negative effect is loss of habitats. Loss of habitats for millions of species of plants and animals has led many organisms to become endangered or extinct. Global warming. So children, before we discuss what is global warming, first let's discuss what is the greenhouse effect. Have you heard that before? Okay, I will explain to you what is this greenhouse effect. So children, as you know, the sun is the main source of heat and light energy for Earth. When heat from the sun reaches the earth, some of the heat is reflected back to space, as you can see in this picture. The earth atmosphere traps the rest of the heat, just like how the glass walls of a greenhouse retain heat. So children, this trapping of heat is known as the greenhouse effect. Okay, now don't you wonder how can that be a harmful thing for our environment? So what do you think children? What will happen when too much heat is being trapped by the Earth's atmosphere? That's what we called as global warming. Actually children, global warming sets in when too much heat is trapped by the Earth's atmosphere. So global warming refers to the continuous rise in the average temperature of the Earth's atmosphere. As we learned before, children, when fossil fuels are burnt, gases such as carbon dioxide are released into the atmosphere. So children, carbon dioxide is also known as a greenhouse gas, and it can trap heat from the sun. This causes the earth to heat up more than it usually does. So, what do you think, children? Other than the increase of temperature, are there any bad effects of global warming? Actually, there are a lot. Global warming has caused dramatic climate changes, such as droughts that last for long periods of time, and also frequent floods, also another result of global warming. Other than those climate changes, the extra heat trapped by the Earth's atmosphere has also caused polar ice caps and glacier ice to melt more quickly. When this happens, sea levels start to rise, and the higher sea level will have a bad effects on small and low-lying countries such as Maldives and Venice. Now comes the most important question. How can we care for our environment? Or how can we protect our environment? So children, by simply practicing the 3R concept, we can care for our environment as well as we can protect our environment. So, what is this 3R concept? Namely, the 3 R's are reuse, reduce, and recycle. Reuse, reduce, and recycle. The first R, reuse. By using or by reusing old items instead of throwing them away, we can reduce the normal amount of rubbish. The second R is reduce, or in another words, use less, or to use only what you need. The third and the last R is recycling. It involves the breaking down and processing of old materials to become new materials. Okay, now we have come to the end of our lesson. So before winding up our lesson, let's summarize what we learned today. So first we learned about natural resources, man-made resources, renewable resources, and non-renewable resources. Then we learned about how man has negatively affected environment. Lastly, we learn about how to protect our environment. So, thank you and have a nice day.